And let me just tell you, Hannah, you thought he was hot. Wait till I play this clip for you, because they have waged all-out war on him, trying to bully him into voting for this thing. But take a listen to how he responded to the bullies and the attacks from the Biden administration.
Today, the senator blamed White House staff without offering details.
And they drove some things and they put some things out that were absolutely inexcusable.
Tax the rich!
And the far left for trying to pressure him.
Well, guess what? I'm from West Virginia. I'm not from where they're from, and they can just beat the living crap out of people and think they'll be submissive. Period.
How does that make you feel, Hannah?
Whew, sir. Yes. Oh my gosh, I love a man with a spine. And they're so rare these days, especially in politics. That's hot. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. You guys can come for me all you want. Joe Manchin is now hot, and you have to accept it. Those are the rules. That's the way the world works.
He's so old.
Hot. Don't care. Listen, being principled, standing against big government does not have an expiration date. I don't care how old you are. It is hot. I'm here for it. And
he's also, I think, wealthy.
Yeah, I'm sure he's in the Senate.
Yeah.
I want to be clear. I don't think Joe Manchin's this pillar of integrity or anything. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he did the right thing. And listen, there's this quote from Harry Potter. I'm going to be kind of nerdy here, but it says, anybody can stand up to their enemies, but it takes a really strong person to stand up to your friends. I think that's absolutely true. People have no idea the pressure that he has been under. I can't even fathom it. When you have the weight of the DNC, every other person in your party, and then also them using the media, which is in their pocket, to come down on you and pressure you to vote for this, running a smear campaign, threatening to primary you. I mean, just on and on and on it goes. And what I love about what he said is that they thought this would work, because it does work for most people. Most people do cave, right? We see very few people on either side ever actually buck the trend for what their party wants them to do, because so much of being in office, what people don't understand these days is basically just being beholden to the party. You do what they say. You're not in power. You don't have a lot of authority unless you're one of the 3 or 4 people at the top in leadership for your party. You mostly fall in line and be a good little soldier, or you're going to have hell to pay for it. So when you see somebody do what he did, they're taking immense risks to their career. And I just love it, because this is what everybody in the Senate should be doing. They're all there to represent their constituents that sent them there, who are not a monolith, right? They're not there to work for the DNC. And this is why the 2-party system must be broken. It's one of the most important things that has to happen for us to actually get real change in this country, because until it does, you don't have that many people who have a spine, who are willing to stand up and say, this is wrong, this is right, this is what I'm going to do based on what my voters tell me, because of the pressure that gets put on them. So I think it's absolutely incredible. And again, very hot.
And the only other thing I would add is that Joe Manchin is not actually based. We joke, right? He's not actually a conservative, a libertarian, a free marketeer. He's just a moderate centrist guy who hasn't totally lost his mind and can see how inflation is hurting his constituents and doesn't want to pour trillions onto the fire. And the other thing is, he's been pretty consistent. He told us months ago, I'm not going to vote for trillions in unfunded spending. I don't want them to create a ton of new programs. I just want to add money to existing stuff. And now they're saying oh, he's betrayed us. But no, Jan, he told you the whole time. You just don't listen and you do whatever you want. And I know you have some thoughts about the media reaction. So let me play you a couple clips today. Yes, I want to play you a couple clips, Hannah. The first one is from Democratic Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley on CNN, and the second one is from an MSNBC commentator. And you just let me know what you think of this civics lesson. Take a listen.
We cannot allow one lone senator from West Virginia to obstruct the president's agenda, to obstruct the people's agenda. Jake, all I want for Christmas is a senator that has compassion for the American people and not contempt.
This was a central piece of the president's agenda. It is something that he campaigned on, all of the elements of Build Back Better, and it was his priority. And now we know that Senator Manchin, one senator, is going to deny the president of the United States his major policy priority.
So, Hannah, your response.
So I am really very confused why people think that one lone senator is able to kill a bill. I know we've got Common Core math going in our schools these days, and Americans are really bad at math compared to the rest of the world, but this is pathetic vote counting. You cannot kill a bill as one person in the U.S. Senate. You actually have to have a majority. Usually you have to have 60. The Democrats have been doing some funny rules with this bill, trying to get it through with just a 50-50 split, because they don't actually have that much of a majority in the Senate. Kamala Harris would always have had to have broken this tie. But when Joe Manchin said no, that took them down even lower beneath that threshold. So when they say that it's, one person killed this, no, actually 51 senators killed this. You didn't have a single Republican who was willing to cross the line on this vote. You didn't even have enough Democrats to pass this vote without a tiebreaker and some funny rulemaking. So we need some basic civics reinstored in this country. We also need to make sure our representatives know the basic rules around what they're overseeing. I think that as a whole, this is intentionally misleading. They're trying again to really bring the wrath of people down on Joe Manchin. I don't think it's going to work actually, because the vast majority of people did not want this bill. And I think Joe Manchin knows that. I think he knows his constituents did not want this bill, but this is what their intention is. And it's absolutely infuriating. And I saw this all over Twitter. I want to read you a few tweets that I saw over the weekend that I just really made me roll my eyes. You had Rob Rayner, who said, I don't remember marking my presidential ballot for Joe Manchin. Well, yeah, because he's not president, sir. He's single-handedly denying Americans environmental protection, pre-K, childcare, affordable prescription drugs, none of which that is true. If he kills voting rights, he will deny U.S. democracy. U.S. democracy? Sir, you were the one trying to deny U.S. democracy by basically thinking that you can take 49 senators and force this massive progressive, once in a generation, massive scale legislation on the American people. You don't like democracy. You don't care about the will of the people. You just want to win. This is absurd. Another person named Sherilyn Eiffel said, Manchin is Manchin, but what kind of healthy democracy is structured in a way that can allow one man elected by 290,000 voters in one of the least populous states to thwart the agenda of his party and the president who was elected with 81 million votes? We need structural change. Ma'am, a good kind of democracy is structured in that way, because we don't want to have a pure democracy where you basically get to overrun the will of the people because you have a small majority. We want a situation where each state has representatives, is able to fight back against big federal government, and so that California is not overtaking West Virginia. We can't have a unified country if that were how it was structured. That's what you want. You want a one-party rule. You don't want to have to go through democracy. It's very, very clear to me that that is what these people's goals actually are. Another person named Stephen Bashlow said, last time I checked, I didn't vote for Joe Manchin for president. Well, last time I checked, the people of West Virginia didn't vote for Joe Biden to be their senator. They voted for Joe Manchin to be their senator, and he is acting as such. If you want to elect West Virginia's senators, move there, okay? Otherwise, you get to elect yours, and we get to come into the room and have a conversation and figure out how we're going to move forward as a unified country. This is how basic democracy works. I'm so tired of the left, which is constantly screaming about democracy and the rule of law and keeping our norms together. The minute they lose, all of that goes out the window, and now they want to tear down the structure and redo it. I won't be surprised if after this you see them begin to talk about killing the filibuster again. They are willing to play dirty. There's been a lot of pressure now for Joe Biden to start pushing some of this agenda through via executive order. I think he definitely will do that. I think the most concerning thing there is the PRO Act. We've already heard some things rumbling around where he might start directing the Labor Department to start restructuring what quantifies as an independent contractor and things of that nature. So they're not going to give up. And I think that we all should send Joe Manchin notes of encouragement, because I know how hard it is to stand alone and to do the right thing sometimes. And this is one of those situations. But again, I think as a whole, this points to a few big things. One, Americans don't know civics. Two, we need to break the two-party system so that we have 100 people who actually act like Joe Manchin and truly represent their constituents versus a major private party's interest. And three, the DNC will play dirty every time. It's still GOP, but
Newsflash.
Yeah, but newsflash, this is, the claws are coming out.
I just find it funny how many people think that 51 senators, right? 50 Republicans plus one Democrat, a majority in a body of 100 people, are thwarting democracy and thwarting the will of the people. No, Janet. You're the one thwarting democracy if you want 49 Democrats to steamroll a majority and impose their radical vision on a country that doesn't want it. And also, I hate this thing they're thwarting the president's mandate and agenda. It's the president doesn't just get whatever he wants because he wins an election. Other offices are elected too, and they have constitutional power under our system. I wish I could just throw civics books at these people and hopefully it hits them hard enough that some of the Constitution gets in and absorbed under their skin or something, because they frustrate me beyond belief. I don't know how to help these people.
Yeah, the whole thing about a mandate, you're right. I mean, first and foremost, we have separate branches of government that are checks and balances. They are not supposed to work as a monolith. Secondarily, if you're going to claim you have a mandate, maybe have more than a 50-50 split in the Senate. You don't have a mandate. You barely have a majority. You have a slim majority in the House. It's not a mandate, okay? And Joe Manchin even pointed this out in another interview where he said the Democrats are trying to act like they have, 60, 65 majority in the Senate. And back when FDR was doing all of his crap, he did have those kinds of majorities. And that's why he was able to do this kind of thing. Americans don't have that kind of consensus around it. We actually just hate all of you. And we're trying to stay alive here, okay? Like, nobody has a mandate in this country. Americans are like, please, just one of you not be terrible. Like,
what's Congress's approval rating? Isn't it like in the 20s?
It's got to be low. And Biden's is in the 40s. Like, it's been in the 40s for a long time. Like,
but it's a mandate, Hannah. Like, CNN told me so.
Right. Yeah, it's hogwash. And again, I'm just so tired of Americans not knowing how their system's supposed to structure, because I think the way we were actually structured was pretty genius in multiple ways. I think that they didn't do enough. If I had to go back and meet with the founders, I'd be like, you're on the right track. You need to do a little bit more. Actually, you need to do a lot bit more to actually protect the economic system of capitalism and keep the government out of it, which that was a brand new system when they were writing the Constitution, right? Wealth of Nations came out the same year as the Declaration of Independence. So they didn't know what they didn't know at that point, but they obviously needed to do a lot more to prevent regulations and corporate welfare and all of these.
Well, I agree, but to be fair to them, they wrote the Constitution and then it hasn't been followed. So, for example, like Congress, all its advanced regulatory and intervention power is under the Commerce Clause, which gives them permission to regulate interstate commerce, is now literally been applied and upheld by dumb Supreme Court decisions to apply to people who produce wheat on their own farm that never leaves one state. So it's like, the Constitution absolutely could have been improved. 13th Amendment, anybody? Right? But in terms of constraining big government from killing our capitalist system, it could have done more, absolutely. But also, we just have perverted it and not followed it.
Well, that was going to be my second point. They needed to do more to actually have clawbacks and be punitive and like pull back when the government oversteps the rules. And I think the two-party system is a big part of that, because we weren't really supposed to have a two-party system or even a party system in general. So those are my tweaks that I would go back and work with them on. But